The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Are you tired of being misguided by self-serving financial service profit seekers? Are you looking for a better way to take control of your destiny and create a financially free path for future generations? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Banking on Your Retirement podcast. We cut through the noise of the often self-serving financial markets with simplified yet foundational financial principles for creating a more peaceful, joyful, and prosperous life. So be brave and be free. This is your home. Now, here's your Banking on Your Retirement host, Johnnyward.
Hey, thanks for listening today. This is Johnnyward, host of your Banking on Retirement podcast, of course. And I just want to get right into it. I got a phone call from one of my best friends, one of my older brothers, and he is a great supporter of my work and has a lot of good input. And he said, I'm just trying to figure out where you're trying to go with this podcast, like how you're going to tie everything together. And I wanted to take a moment to speak as frankly as I can about how I see the world and why I'm even taking the time, money, energy to put this show together in these episodes. And that is, at the heart of it, I'm an infinite banking concept practitioner for the Nelson Nash Institute. And Nelson was an Austrian economist student. And I certainly have become a student of that myself. And it's because of the fact that I am trying to find ways for people to have freedom, first of all. This is about money, and it sounds like something that, wow, I don't know, I can't be thinking about money all the time. It's a stressful thing. But, of course, I'm trying to help free people. And one of the things that's happening is that a lot of money is flowing away from you. And the Austrian School of Economics talks about sound money. I am going to read a quick definition from an economist on what sound money really means, but I want to share my general feeling about it, which is it's a stable medium of exchange, right? Not inflating up and down, losing its value, so stripping out its value by creating more pieces of paper. So my parents, the house that I was brought home to from the hospital, they paid in 1960, they paid $13,000 for that house. It was a pretty big house. There was 8 of us that lived in there, and we had an apartment that we rented out. And, that house is probably going for, I don't know, let's just say it's a commercial piece of property now. It's probably worth, $500,000. I'm just going to, throw that number out. Well, did it actually, increase in value, or did I just need more of those pieces of paper, meaning each one of those pieces of paper, dollars, Federal Reserve notes, are worth less? Well, that latter is the answer. It's just that they're worth less and it takes more. It's not like it went up in value. It just means you needed more pieces of paper. So that is the world that we live in. We live in a debt instrument society. That's what we have for currency. But what I'm trying to do is get people to see that they can keep the cash flow that goes through their hands, bank on themselves, their family for generations to come, keep more control of their capital, of their cash flow, and be able to reuse it over and over, never interrupt the compounding. But the sound money side is where I tie in this need for precious metals, to have asset-backed money, right? Meaning there's something behind it, that there isn't an IOU. It's an actual payment of a debt, for example, right? Is that when I give it to you for the exchange of something, whether it be an experience, a service, a thing, then I actually have something of value to give you, right? I'm not giving you an IOU that I'm, in debt to you and I promise to pay, but we never pay. And then we take that dollar from somebody else and we go down to the store and we use it. And now we just keep passing on the debt, right? And when we create something by needing a loan, we are creating more money, we are creating more debt instruments. That is the world that I want to get away from, because that is the world of enslavement. That is what I'm doing here, is I'm not just talking about infinite banking, but I am also talking about sound money and how do we get there. That is why I use the sponsor Liberty Dollar. It is a bigger picture. It's not about just stacking silver. It's about freeing us from this fiat currency, this debt instrument society. And then we take some of the stress off. We can enjoy life. We can do it with, all the time that we have, because we haven't been trading ourselves as a slave to the system. We've actually been freeing ourselves, which then frees our minds, frees our hearts. And then there's just much more joy to spread amongst all of us, and everybody's doing it. And think about how powerful that would be. So I do want to, grab this quick definition for you that I have on my phone of sound money. I got to put my glasses on so I can read it. Money is sound when its value is stable and is thus able to perform its functions as a medium of exchange, a unit of account, and a store of value. Sound money creates security and trust. We end up trusting it, right? Which in turn promotes social harmony and cohesion, right? I'm big about this idea that united we stand, divided we fall. We want to come together. The system really wants to divide us. They want to distract us while there's other things are going on. And what we need to do is look to each other, not just in our community, because our community is global, right? It isn't just coming to the rally of people in crisis. We're all really in crisis. And we need to understand that it really is the bankers that are controlling everything. Everything. It all comes back to that. And I can say that, early on in a discussion with one of my other brothers, at the beginning of the lockdowns, and not thinking that this was going to be, the devastation of humanity with COVID and so forth. Yes, there was deaths. Yes, there's been sickness. But the idea was, you're going to see a lot more death. And that doesn't mean literally dying. It just means in the process of dying, that you don't find the joy. People had their businesses closed down. They were forced to do that. This was maybe a dream for them. There was 900 restaurants in New York City that were closed down. Many of those people probably had the dream, maybe took all the savings they had, put it into these restaurants, and then they said, well, you can't operate, right? We just got to keep social distancing and all that kind of stuff. Hey, that can kill people. And I always said to my brother, there's going to be more death from the financial side of things than there is actually from the virus itself. And that is the big picture for me. That is why I'm doing all of this. So that's hopefully an answer to why we're doing this. I did want to throw up, a quick little screenshot on. There was a book, and then there was a movie, and the book was called The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and it was written by Frank Baum. And in that story, he literally states something that's not obvious to everybody, right? And it is a play on what was going on with the bankers. It was really him telling a story through really a children's story. But, if you look at the fact that in the book, we remember in the movie that the house had fallen down on the witch with, in the movie it was ruby slippers, but in the book it was silver slippers. And I make this distinction because, of course, everybody knows about the yellow brick road, which represents gold. The silver slippers or silver shoes were actually representative of the silver. And so, first of all, gold is the money of bankers. Silver is money of people. And I want to read a little section. It states, "You are very kind, but there must be some mistake. I have not killed anything." "Your house did anyway," replied the little old woman with a laugh, "and that is the same thing. See," she continued, pointing to the corner of the house, "there are her 2 toes sticking out from under a block of wood." And Dorothy looked and gave a little cry of fright. There, indeed, just under the corner of the great beam of the house, rested on 2 feet were sticking out, shod in silver shoes with pointed toes. And so the reason I'm reading that is when we think about the end of the movie, when the good witch comes and says, just tap your feet together 3 times, and there's no place like home. And what they're really describing here is that she's always had the power. She's had the power to take back control of what has seemingly been taken away from her in a cyclone, right? There was this tornado that came about, which is really kind of what the world that we live in right now. And it's a bit of a tornado. And the silver, it represents that you have the power. You can take it back, and it is for the people. It is for all of us. And so that's another reason that I focus really on silver. Gold is great. People can buy gold, store it, use it as collectibles. It is pretty. But if you're looking to have sound money for the people, then we need to take control of the silver. And the silver really is hard to come by. But there's more to the story. And I want to, just quickly say, I'm going to talk a little bit about the gold-silver ratio, how much silver there is for an ounce of gold, and give you some numbers to think about. And we're going to take a break. And when we come back, I'll discuss more about this.
Have you heard about Liberty Dollar Financial Association? Liberty Dollar is a private membership association that allows its members to purchase silver in different forms, which are lawful for use as mediums of exchange. Liberty Dollar Financial Association is a private alternative currency that is provided to members in both digital and paper warehouse receipts. They also sell physical Liberty coins for your personal possession, or they'll securely store your precious metals for you. They provide members with various services that allow them to use their silver's value as a means of exchange, such as their bill pay service, where they will pay your bills out of your silver account, similar to your current banker. Additionally, they offer a term deposit investment account where currently they are paying out in silver a guaranteed 1% per month, which can be compounded over a 1-year term. Liberty Dollar just celebrated 25 years as a silver bullion dealer, storage facility, and exchange. To learn more about Liberty Dollar Financial Association or to become a free member, visit ldrep.nl/BOYR. That's Liberty Dollar Financial Association.
Hi, thanks. Welcome back. I just want to, thank you for watching, listening, wherever you are. And I do ask for some help here. I would love to get this, message out that I'm sharing to more people. So if you can like, subscribe, follow, share, make comments, ask questions, that would be greatly appreciated. I appreciate your help. Thank you. So I want to continue, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what they call the gold-silver ratio. So there has been a number of different studies, and I'm going to put up some screenshots here and some quotes from an article from a company called JM Bullion. They did it back in, I believe, 2010. But, it's still all relevant. Things really haven't changed much. And I want to read this first section. It is interesting to note that the all-time estimated mined gold-silver ratio is about 8.8. This means that for every 8.8 ounces of silver mined, we humans have mined up an ounce of gold. And so that is, pretty low. I mean, historically, when we talk about the commodities exchange and would get our spot price for silver. Right now, we're looking closer to like 90 to 1. And, in 2020, for example, we got up, I believe, to about 125, 130, maybe even 135 to 1. The next piece that I want to share is, for more than a century now, governments and central banks have been actively meddling in pricing the values for silver and gold. As a consequence, the over 5,000-year average gold to silver ratio of about 15, which is pretty accurate in the last sort of bull run for silver. Only in the last century or so has it ballooned to a ratio of over 100. And, again, this article was written in 2010. The next one I want to notate is, according to geologists, there was roughly a ratio of 18.75. So I want to talk a little bit about the fact that we're looking at prices like, if we were looking at the 18 to 1, silver today, which is roughly a little under $25, should be at about $116 an ounce. If we were looking at the 15 to 1, that's more the historical average, it should be about $146 an ounce. And if we did this 8.8, that when you go and mine and you find an ounce of gold, you'll find 8.8 ounces of silver along the way. If that was the case, then the price right now should be $249 an ounce. And the reason I'm bringing this up is mostly because of the fact that most people talk about gold. It seems to make headlines more. Maybe it just sounds more exciting. It sounds more like royalty. And it just catches eyes, right? If people are talking about Bitcoin hitting its all-time highs, they're talking about gold hitting their all-time highs. And silver has been suppressed. It is the most underpriced commodity in the world, and it has been for decades now. It's not just about an investment. It's not just about a hedge. It's about sound money. It is about getting the bankers out of this system. They don't want us to know. They don't want us to understand this. And if there's a shortage, well, then the price is going to go up. If it isn't going up just from the spot price, it's going to go up because there's a shortage and there's going to be a higher premium. So it is going to have more value. And I mean, people are going to charge you between individuals, peer to peer. You're going to charge each other more because of the fact that it's so rare. And the reason it's going to be rare is because it's actually an industrial metal, not just a currency, not just considered money. It is used in all these things that people are talking about and has been for years, but now solar panels and electric cars and so forth are using more and more silver. And so for me, when you look at this article, which I'll put in the show notes, you'll have a link to the full article, and it's not too long, so check it out. They actually talk about over the time that silver has been mined in history, 90% of it ends up in landfills or ends up in products that are thrown away. And so it's not recovered. And if we said that we lose 90% of that 8.8 that's really been put into products, utilized, but then thrown away and not recovered, not recycled, we're actually a closer 1-to-1 ratio. And that says that right today, we're roughly around $2,200 an ounce for gold. That's really where silver should be. It should be a 1-to-1 because you've already lost. If you take 8.8 and minus out 90% of it, you're below 1. So let's just say it's a 1-to-1 ratio. Now, again, I want to speak a little bit about Liberty Dollar, and they're not about just stacking silver to have silver. They're trying to help people see that this is real money. This is the old style warehouse receipts, which were the paper money in the early days. And that's what we're trying to get to. We're not trying to say, hey, let me just store all this silver in my own house or in my backyard or in the Failman safe. They literally are trying to move us into these warehouse receipts. That's what I am supporting because that is asset-backed. If you do want the silver, all you have to do is turn it in. But if you exchange it for goods and services out in the marketplace where people are accepting it and they want to do the same, they can go and buy goods and services from the vendors that they patronize, then they can go and then do that exchange. But they also, if they want, they can turn in those warehouse receipts for the actual silver, knowing that the sound money is there, that we're letting the marketplace do it. We're not letting some powers that be manipulate it. And that's what's been happening. It's been manipulated. When we take control, we'll set the price. That's where I'm trying to go with this. I'm Johnnyward. I'm the host of Banking on Your Retirement. Thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, follow, share. And I'll see you next week. Thanks. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Banking on Your Retirement podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Banking on Your Retirement. And don't forget to rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Thanks again for listening. The information expressed on this podcast is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Personal due diligence is the listener or viewer's sole responsibility.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.